Pat, we got to talk about last week, man.
Yeah, I was falling down a mountain the whole time we were recording. I was just outside tumbling endlessly. I spent hours prepping for last week's episode, pinning up new sound equipment that Tom provided in an attempt to make the show sound good, because that's ultimately what we want. And then instead of plugging our devices into the USB, I just put it haphazardly into a larger hole that it sat ajar in.
Like an HDMI port?
Something. And I just recorded right on through the mic in the laptop the whole time. And it was great. And we all feel real good about it. And yeah, we're dancing. We're in the Fall Out Boy extended universe, hopefully with a little bit better sound this week.
I just love the irony of the fact that you have such a strong disdain for doing the audio stuff, and the time you put the most effort into it, it just didn't work. I feel bad, but anyways, I do appreciate the effort every week. Luckily,
no, the thing is, we don't need to hash this out now. You know that thing on a road trip with your family when everyone just needs to go to the bathroom and wants to be home, but really they don't have any problem with anything and everyone's just mad? That's where we're at. We're like, haven't seen our wives in a few hours, so we're going to do this second episode and we're going to try to have some fun. I want the show to sound better as well, and it is definitely comical that last week it's the worst it sounded, even back to the Cleveland days after hours of prep, just because of a USB hazard.
Oh, God. Anyways, we're here. We're having fun.
Yeah, we're
like
dancing.
We're in the Fall Out Boy emo-verse.
Part two.
We had a really good time last week. It was pretty high energy, and my God, we are just motherfucking getting started, because This Ain't a Scene Is an Arms Race is a hell of a music video.
Well, this ain't the end of the Dance Dance video.
Ooh.
This is a different video, ... and start the show. I don't know. That was bad. But will it get better? I don't know.
Should we start the show, question mark?
That's right.
What is going on, everybody? I'm Tom.
And I'm Pat.
We're best friends, and you're listening to the Reminiscent Podcast.
This ain't a scene, it's an arms race.
There's a lot to talk about surrounding Infinity on High as a whole, I think.
Whoa.
But I think we're going to have to start. Let's start where we left off last week.
Yeah. Let's. Pete Wentz in a tan suit. No, they're in the gym. The Dance Dance video has taken place, but it turns out the woman from 30 Rock was a cardboard box.
Right. So get ahead of ourselves.
Okay. So if you're listening, if you did this back to back, you're here. Here we are. But let's treat this like a real episode for those of us, the people maybe who are just joining. Like, okay, hey, we're doing This Ain't a Scene, It's an Arms Race. But maybe you should go back to the last episode and listen to the Dance Dance episode, because they flow right through, because the music videos do as well. This is the first time we've ever really done a two-parter like this, and it's very fun and exciting. But there are a lot of, like you said, Infinity on High points to be made, because we've slept on that record this whole time.
Horde. May have actively avoided it, if we're being honest.
Well, prepping for the show, I was like, just on a Tuesday, just getting emotional as shit to Hum Hallelujah, like, what the hell is happening? And like, you know, with the magazine covers, I'm trying to think, like, it's like an Always Sunny episode where it's like the title card is like, the gang becomes internationally famous. Like at this point, the boys have spun their way from across borders. Spinning rock or emo kids without borders. I don't know. No, that was weak. But they're coming hot off from under the cork tree. Massive hit, multiple top 10 hits, or hits that made the top 10. I guess I should phrase it that way. But and then they have to follow it up, which is the worst position to be in as a band. I feel like. When you make a beloved album, it's like, yay, shit, we have to follow it up with something. And they decide to follow it up with a record that starts, I think, well, with a Jay-Z spoken word intro. It's interesting because one of the first magazines in the video that's like this fake paparazzi thing, very self-aware, we'll get into it, but is like, them recording with a hip hop producer and things like that. But the album starts off, it's like, for everyone who thought it could never happen, welcome, it's here. But some of the riffs is almost an homage to Take This to Your Grave, almost. Like, it's almost like they're, I don't know if it's the most self-aware record or the least self-aware record of all time, but today we're here to talk about This Ain't a Scene, It's an Arms Race. And I think larger, wider, broader sweeping takes about Infinity on High aside, This Ain't a Scene, It's an Arms Race, like rips more than any song has ever ripped. Like the hook might be the chorus, I should say. Explosive? I don't know. You don't have as warm of thoughts, but I realize every time I re-listen to this record that I'm more fond of it than I remember being in real time. But retrospectively, it's like, there's a lot of good songs on this thing.
So I have to preface this with, I've never given the album a fair shake. But the way I feel about kind of what Fall Out Boy has started becoming at this point is kind of how I feel about Blink-182 at this point. I don't know. I just love Take This to Your Grave and From Under the Cork Tree, like two of my favorite albums ever. And then it just got weird.
It's definitely a weird thing in music fandom, like, hey, I love this band so much. And fairly or unfairly, predicting the future, yes, what I need is for you to come out with From Under the Cork Tree again and again. And
just probably stay again. In that VFW.
And we talked about it with Mike Henneberger. It's like with The Killers sometimes, it's like, this isn't Hot Fuzz Part 2. What the hell are you guys, Right. But I think like for me, it's interesting to watch wider audiences. Like in the music video, there's a scene, and we'll get to it, where I don't know, the chorus, like Patrick Stump is singing in this hip hop studio and he's singing overly nerdily. Long story short, the chorus comes and everyone like buys in. And I just remember Mark Dolak marching into a Mr. Bischoff led creative writing class or something like that. And he's like, I don't know, just always one headphone in, just being a total goof. I love Mark Dolak so much. He got me a job at the Seawolves. Just a really genuine guy who just lives life very colorfully, I always thought.
Yeah.
Definitely a goof, but I think he'd be self-admittedly a goof. Anyway, he just walked in like, hey, yeah, man. He's the guy, he walked into a biology class years before that, singing the brand new song, what's kind of the quote-unquote hit off of Quiet Things That No One Ever Knows, I guess. Well, that's the fan favorite, maybe not the hit, but either way, he's just like, yeah, man, this song's awesome. This rocks. I'm like... So Mark was like, just this kid from like this Catholic school in the city who I don't really know what kind of genre of music he liked, but it wasn't brand new in depth. But every once in a while, he'd just walk into a classroom and be like, hey, man, I like this song you like, right? You like them? And it's just like, hey, I really like This Ain't a Scene. And I'm like, I don't know if I love this album yet, but it's really kind of fun to watch a larger audience really from the jump love this song, which is kind of a picture they paint in the video, and we'll get to that and everything. But I think what I'm trying to say, I'm taking a really long time to say that. Yeah, again, the gang goes hella mega, right? This is the career is just different. It was going to be different no matter what post Cork Tree. And to release in, like, I will get into the numbers now, I guess. We'll do fast facts, but it's kind of like arguably just as successful, if not in terms of being widely heard. They're stars now, and they address it in this music video alone. Like this, I don't know, there's a music video out there where they're being directed by chimpanzees that are talking shit on like cell phone texting on the set and everything like that.
Yeah.
Like they're definitely stars at this point, and this is their statement to all the fans that held it down till everybody came around, as Jay-Z says at the beginning of Thriller track 1 off Infinity. But, it's an interesting ride, and it's kind of exhausting. And some of the Fueled by Ramen folks that were in the 16 Candles video come back in reprise roles. We'll get to that later as well. But let's hit the fast facts first. And this is just like kind of the ride of the whole band in a single music video. It's pretty ambitious and pretty exhausting at times. But
yeah,
I think this song rips. This song rules. It's a banger. I love it so much. I think the chorus is like, it's hard not to get like, I don't think the angstometer is correct here. I think it's more of like on the let's fucking go LFG scale, like... It's binary, right? It's either it is or not that, and it so is. I don't know. Like that's the best I can do is just like, I don't know, gets me going. I'm a big fan. let's gush for another 14 minutes and then we'll get into the fast facts. I'm just kidding. All I can say is that I just really like it.
So this is something that, again, Adam, Fall Out Boy's biggest fan, always thought was so fascinating that Patrick Stump wrote the music and Pete Wentz wrote the lyrics that then Patrick sang. Like, to our 14-year-old brains, this was just like breaking the physics of the universe. Like, but the singer writes their own lyrics, right? Isn't that how it happens? The guitarist writes the guitars, the drummer writes the drums or whatever. And it was just such a weird, like, trivia thing that I feel like a lot of people always brought up. Did you know Pete Wentz actually writes all the lyrics for Fall Out Boy? But that's how this song happened.
Well, we mentioned it last week through Scratchy Falling Through the Forest audio that, you know, it was kind of a side project where Patrick was realizing, you know, he said this on podcasts. I don't know if that's how he feels actively every day, every minute. I mean, but in some interviews, he's alluded to, like, this was more of a side project. I was learning that I liked to arrange, and I gathered up some moody Chicago hardcore kids, and Fall Out Boy was this thing that took place. Yeah. And it's interesting to hear him kind of grow from record to record with arranging and singing and being more comfortable on stage and with himself and with his own voice, because it is a very unique voice that on some days live, I'm sure it doesn't quite sound right, weirdly, but when it's hitting, it's like soulful and beautiful and crazy and powerful. And on this record, this song specifically, I guess, it's just kind of like, oh, whoa, you know, like, yes, please, more.
Yeah, he was really unique out of the gate. Maybe not like so much on Sugar We're Going Down because I had like the greater commercial airplay, but
well, that would always got panned because you couldn't understand what he was saying. You know, like go da, da, like
to a
I don't know if we talk about this enough. Yeah, exactly. The Luli Raw. He literally spurred one of the most popular early YouTube videos ever.
Yeah,
was the Fall Out Boy lyric video
funny.
in MS Paint. I don't know if we've talked about that at all. Really, it's just like I don't know if the jury's out on Patrick Stump, but like well, generally with Hayley Williams, there's a specific public opinion that she's quite good. Or Tom DeLonge, quite nasally, or, you know, like there's like general takes for other people. But with Patrick Stump early on, it was kind of like, is this guy the worst singer ever? Or is he the best singer ever? I like really can't tell from day to day. It was kind of an odd thing as a fan early on, for me anyway.
I mean, his style was certainly unique. He did a lot more like vocal runs and stuff. But I think the most interesting bands are the ones that listen to genres outside of the one they perform. And it just seems like he was onto some different shit. Like, especially, you know, you listen, if we were in a band that only listened to Take It Back Sunday, Cartel, and Blink-182, and our music sounded exactly like it, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, what are your influences? I can take a guess. It's like, well, you're probably right. We have rewritten our favorite songs more or less.
So, oh my God.
Yeah, it's kind of like that thing where months ago, hundreds of episodes ago, that debate about whether or not Adam Driver's hot, and it's like, do you have to be a little f***ed up looking to be truly super hot? It's almost like, do you have to be a little off to be truly great at something in a certain type of way?
I don't think it's off, though. I just think it's super different.
Oh, well, at the time, maybe we just didn't know how to take it, but it's just like, usually in that package, the Midwest stocky kid who grows into this like insanely powerful, soulful, you know, like champion of arrangements in a hella mega band. You know, this is the episode where the boys go hella mega. So it's kind of like, it's weird that, you know, early videos of them, it's kind of like seeing Green Day at their high school, outside their high school, just doing baby's first pop punk type stuff, like, as you like to say. But it's almost like you see basement shows or like warehouse shows where Fall Out Boy's doing kind of Chicago hardcore scene stuff, where it definitely sounds rougher. But really they were doing emo stuff in a very palatable package. Yeah. And you don't really get to hear what, in those basement shows, those warehouse shows that they did early on. And I guess this video alludes to what that is later. We'll get to the very end of the video or whatever, but you don't really get to hear what Stump's up to until you hear the recording. And maybe even until Cork Tree. You know what I mean? Because Take This to Your Grave, it's still some of that, not double bassy, but kind of that double bassy inspired harder edge, I guess, like basically the fame arc of any band ever, more or less. Like, it all seems so cyclical. Even the theme of like the scene being an arms race, like on Jungle Land, on Born to Run, Springsteen talks about flashing guitars like switchblades and just like bands trying to get famous and one-upping each other. And we'll talk about the spinning a lot this episode, or little stage tricks each band does at Warped Tour to get noticed, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like little things like that, like the scene itself being a bit of an arms race. It's not like a new theme, but it's interesting to look at it through the 2000s lens, I guess, which is, I guess, welcome to the show. That's exactly what we talk about every week. But no, yeah, Stump. This doesn't have to be a Patrick Stump episode necessarily, but it is interesting. And the boy, you know, they're dealing with fame. It's pretty obvious. And do you want to run through some fast facts before it gets away from us a little bit here?
Yeah, I think that was 10 minutes on the first fast fact. Anyway, same production.
We already started the fast facts. Yeah, it's like, well, let's break this down.
Production, same guy, Neil Avron. He's done like all the Yellow Card stuff. He's one of the biggest names in.
Yeah, we mention him weekly, and we always say we mention him weekly as if we aren't used to it by now, which I guess it's like, it's not a surprise. It's just like, oh, Neil, cool. It's a Neil joint.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, lots of stuff, you know, we'll get to the numbers. The first like huge international breakthrough, debuted and peaked at number 2 on the US Billboard Hot 100 with 162,000 first week sales. Especially for an emo band from Chicago. Holy shit. I think to this day, the Upsides hasn't even sold that many copies. Like,
all of our favorite records have not sold that many copies.
I know. It's horrible.
Except All American Rejects, deservedly. Right. Those guys are famous as
They wipe their ass with gold records.
I know.
Platinum, quadruple platinum records.
You know, like those DIY videos where they melt records for like fruit bowls?
Yeah.
They do that with their platinum albums because they don't have to give a It was interesting talking to Henneberger a few weeks ago, and I was like, oh, Kenny Vasoli or Tyson Ritter, which is, you know, just some of the questions that pop up on the show that are kind of jokes now, but he was like, oh, it's Ritter. He's a fucking rock star. I'm like, God damn it, you're right. Like, why do we always live to just take massive fucking dumpers on All American Rejects? It's super unfair. Anyway, we're here to talk about Fall Out Boy. Sorry.
All right. So I've got, a couple rankings. Number 1 on US, and this is kind of what hurt, Pop 100. Number 1 on US Pop 100. Number 14 on US Mainstream Top 40. Number 8 on US Alternative Airplay. Number 2 on US Billboard Hot 100. I do remember, again, not even like actively listening to the radio, this song just being fucking everywhere. I feel like it was in every car commercial or some shit.
It's interesting that you feel this was more everywhere than Dance Dance was.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Interesting. I don't have that memory.
You know, maybe though, it's possible that since I didn't actually listen to this song on my own, it's easy to know that if I heard it, it meant it was on a commercial somewhere.
I wonder if there's something to like psychology where stuff that annoys you sticks out more than things that are just generally as you expect them to be. You know what I mean? Where it's kind of like, oh, Dance Dance is on. This is how the world is and should work because I like this song right now. But like, as soon as Boulevard of Broken Dreams becomes on the radio, like you're sensing a little too much, all of a sudden. But I could see people being like, as soon as you start to think it's a little too much, you start to know. It's kind of that thing where it's like, you know, I've been thinking it's been on the radio too much lately. And then you hear it always. I don't know if it's like a human flaw, like brain flaw or something.
I think since I listened to it so much on my own, I couldn't differentiate what was on my iPod, what was on the radio with Dance Dance, where this was not on my iPod at all.
Okay.
So I think that probably has a lot to do with it. But here's a line that I'm really confused about that I saw on Wikipedia. Going back to the song debuted and peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. Being the first song in 5 years to debut in the top 10 without the artist being an American Idol finalist. So does that mean for 5 years, the top 10 Billboard Hot 100 was occupied entirely by American Idol finalists?
Read the stat again.
In the US, the song debuted and peaked at number 2 on Billboard Hot 100, being the first song in 5 years to debut in the top 10 without the artist being an American Idol finalist.
Oh, yeah. Not every song on the top 10, but songs that had in that span debuted in the top 10 when they dropped.
Oh, it has to do with
American
the
Idol
debut.
stars for a stretch. Yeah, I think so. But that's still crazy.
That's so weird to me. And I mean, to me, American Idol fizzled out or before I don't know, whatever. Maybe not one of the biggest shows of all time.
Well, I will say I'm glad we finally got to talk about American Idol a little bit when we did Day to Remember Kelly Clarkson. That was super fun.
Yeah, man, that show occupied a lot of my Tuesday and Wednesday nights. I'll tell you that much. Love all the Seacrest jokes in Community as well.
Indeed. Joe McHale, you look a certain way. That's how it is, I guess. If you're getting a comedy, I mean, I don't know if you look like the jokes are going to get made. Anyway, actually, apparently he was a pretty decent football player and played in D1 college for a little while. He's a large person. And you're like, I guess I could see him as an athlete. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. My favorite crumper, Joe McHale. If you're listening to the episodes back to back, I think that'll make more sense. It's hard to say. Okay. No, but at the risk of, so we always flame Gen Xers for bailing on Green Day for coining pop punk. Really being the godfathers of taking something that was sacred to many and making it very palatable because they're good. I don't want to fall into the trap of being Fall Out Boy, I guess they got big as doing the stuff we loved, I don't want to really do that. But also you're tempted to. What is up with that? You know what I mean? I'm tempted to be why do I want to hate Infinity on High so much, even though I'm really very fond of it, or at least the first half of it pretty intimately.
Again,
Unlike A Lawyer, The Way I'm Always Getting You Off is one of those songs in high school where you're yeah, that was 2 months for me of just that. But, painting with a broad brush is kind of yeah, sure, Fall Out Boy, Cork Chew was their best and everything sucked after that because, I hate all of them for all the joy they brought me. I'm mad now for no reason, but I could sympathize, I guess, with the music fan who, although I would imagine there's sentiments like that come, I guess I could picture the tweet coming into the show that's I get what you're saying, but after Infinity rules. And so it's yeah, okay, maybe we're jumping at the gun on the whole popularity thing, but it's almost, it feels unfair, I guess. You want justice for Cartel, you want justice for all these other bands, but it's let's just take a moment to appreciate the fact that they were on top of the world. It wasn't just All American Rejects who were on top of the world. Fall Out Boy, for a minute there, was absolutely it. People roaming the halls of our high school, screaming the lyrics, hoping to get caught while cutting class, just belting out deep cuts and stuff like that. How larger could you get, I guess?
I'd forgot about this until this very moment. My mom called me one day and she was like, you like the band Fall Out Boy, right? I was like, yeah, their older stuff. Sure. And she was running Lightboard for some church or something. And they wanted her to program a light show for some performance. And, she was like, I mean, is there an inspiration? And apparently the director of the show was watch the music video. Oh, what was the song called? The Light 'Em Up. I'm on fire. And they said that was the inspiration for the lighting. And it was okay, so the director of some church band is telling my mom to program lights a Fall Out Boy music video. How much more? I don't know. That to me, that was no disrespect to Fall Out Boy, but to me it was that's the nail in the coffin that they are an emo band from Chicago. They are now this international, they belong to the world now, not just our little subgenre,
At the risk of being the Gen Xers who write off Green Day, it's well, that's not real punk. It's well, that's not really emo. It's or is it the realist? They put emo.
I mean, and
if you end up on the soundtrack for Big Hero 6, that should be a feather in the cap, not a knock against you, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm just repeating myself at this point. We should maybe keep moving on the fast facts, but and I'm the person who keeps elongating this point. But why is the human emotion to be why am I beginning to hate them? Even though I actively enjoy songs on this record, I don't know. It's kind of insane, especially the hook to this song. This ain't a scene, it's an arms race. Rules. This song is amazing. I love it so much. But yeah, this is kind of the era of that. But again, we'll get to the music video very quick. I promise. That's the point they're making in the video. Is no, we get it. We're annoyed by the fame as well. Is that kind of the vibe? You know what I mean? I guess we should get into it sooner than later, but I guess that's the point. The larger point of this whole, they go from Dance Dance into this video, and it's kind of it's all been a farce, as if they've just been only ever on sets this whole time. Or
right.
Something. You know what I mean?
And I mean, again, that's not a commentary on me being you should have stayed nobodies or whatever.
Right.
It doesn't.
Yeah. You should apologize for being good enough.
It truly does not matter to me what music they make. It's just, if I'm going to listen, it's going to be From Under the Cork Tree, Take This to Your Grave. I'm so happy they're making so much money making music. Good for them. I don't like it. but that doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah, the music video is very interesting because it like details, I mean, we'll go through, but like their fame, but also is it just like their worst nightmare of what fame could look like? Is it how they are afraid people perceive them? But what happens?
Well, Pete straight up dies at one point, so I think there's a lot to unpack.
Right, teeth are falling out and shit. So try to call 911 and the buttons on his phone keep moving.
Oh, I never heard that one. That sounds scary as hell. I will say this: I had a dream the other night where. This is going to be this payoff. There's no payoff. This is just what a dream was I had. It was one of those like late for class dreams, but luckily it was like syllabus day. So it wasn't that. So it was kind of like, oh, thanks, brain. Like I didn't miss a test. I was just late for class in some school scenario in my dream, but it was like syllabus day. So it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was still kind of stressful. So I was like, I consider that a win. Like I'll take that as a little victory. My brain's like, I'm going to put you through a little bit. It's not going to be a great night of sleep, but you've had worse. It's like, oh, thanks, brain. Appreciate you. It was kind of a bizarre, like, I felt thankful to my brain for like only giving me a little stress and anxiety while I slept. You know, it's like, oh, dope. It could have been a running slow during a game of tag dream, which I fucking hate more than the teeth stuff. Anyway.
Oh, God. Hey everybody, want to break in really quickly to thank our top tier Patreon supporters. This is our Council of Elders. In this group, we have Andre Prevost, Johnny Leftwich, Jason Carey, Chris Lukey, Anonymous, and J.W. Johnson. Thank you all so much for being here and supporting the show. It really does mean a lot. And right now, some of the Patreon supporters are getting little clues here and there. We're working on a huge, super secret project, and all of your contributions are directly making this happen. So if you're curious about what's happening, you can check out our Patreon at patreon.com/reminiscent. We also do monthly AMAs. For every episode we put out, we also put out an additional 10 to 15 minute post show, behind the scenes photos, videos, and hints towards stuff that we're working on moving forward. Again, that's patreon.com/reminiscent. But again, thank you all so much, and back to the episode. Well, let's do the music video.
Let's just do it. They were huge. This was an international hit in every country. It was like top 10 everywhere. It was like obviously obnoxious. Not obnoxious, but you know what I mean, for the sake of the argument. But yeah, they're coming right off they actually play the first two notes. And we forgot to say this in the Dance Dance video. That was a video that started with 16 Candles playing as the light pulled up. And it was one of those things. So it's like, oh, okay, this must have been a really popular trope. But this isn't necessarily that, because they're not doing that. They're not playing Dance Dance to promote Cork Tree. They're playing it to stay true to the last two notes. And the wardrobe is right. And I commented in the YouTube, or last week, I commented on the episode where, is this the best hair combo for Patrick Stump? Which I believe it was. And to their credit, they make it look pretty close to the exact ending of Dance Dance.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel like wardrobe, hair, everything. Like, obviously if they're going to do it, they were going to do it well with the budget and everything like that. But, you know, when it closes, you're still kind of in it, especially if you watch them back to back on YouTube. But then, like you said, Pete goes diva and everything kind of unravels from there.
Yeah, they hit the last two notes and immediately like their smiles drop. They're like, cannot get off that stage fast enough. Pete's guitar tech reaches his hand out to take his guitar, and Pete just like fucking drops it from like the top of the stage, this loud bang. And it's just like divas, like they just didn't even want to be up there doing it.
Yeah, the crowd is cardboard.
Yes, not even real people.
Yeah.
And they're walking through this crowd, knocking over the cardboard people. There's like a weird slide phone promo a la Avril Lavigne in there. And
yeah, pop punk growing up with cell phone technology is kind of like one of those underrated, like there'll be some weird doc that comes out in like 10 years on HBO Max about like cell phone portrayal in culture was mostly through like emo videos in the 2000s. Just like, yeah, I was there and I guess I knew that, but I also don't care. But why am I watching a third documentary on this Saturday? This is such so weird that quarantine lasted 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, so they're walking through. Some of the people are real, mostly cardboard. Guy puts headphones on from his sliding phone, and he's listening to Arms Race, right?
Yeah, so it's unlike other, I guess, tropes where someone pulls up in a car and on the radio is a song, past song, or the channel changes in a Bowling for Soup video for Girl All the Bad Guys Want or whatever. This is, I guess it's not a trope or anything, but yeah, Andy, the drummer, pulls out a phone, probably one of the early ones that was capable of playing music, and puts his headphones in. It's a little slide up thing with a little mini keyboard. Maybe it was still T9 at that point, but
yeah.
yeah, you know what? I'll give that a hell yeah. Hell yeah.
T9, baby.
Yeah. Let's
never forget.
Go. I remember watching a dude competitively race someone else.
Oh my god!
About who could text faster, T9 or with the normal.
Oh my god!
And to the guy who was sticking up for like AABBCC or whatever,
yeah,
he did it rather quickly, but the other guy finished so much faster. It was kind of like losing to a robot at putting railroad stakes in the Wild West or something. It was just like a valiant effort, but like obviously tech had advanced far enough that you were just being kind of silly for thinking you could do it, even though it was an impressive human effort. It's just like T9 is just fucking faster, man. Like, what a weird hill to die on, in my opinion. Anyway, like phones are just going to look different every year for the next like 11 years. Like, let's relax and what our hot takes are going to be on the matter. But no, like you're seeing in the future of what was on Steve Jobs' brain. Anyway, yeah. So they're leaving. They get in a fucking let's just say it's a Lamborghini. I'm not a car guy. I'm not sure if you are, but it's a nice sports car.
Doors pivot
Paparazzi.
open. Kind of,
yes. The type of car that doors open up, not the way doors normally open up. That's the type of car we're talking about.
Not a way that's practical at all.
Paparazzi everywhere, snapping photos of Pete specifically. And we got our first magazine cover, the first of many, talking about recording with a hip hop super producer, Fall Out Boys, selling out. I believe there's what other references are on that first magazine cover?
I saw a Suge White thing on there.
Yeah, like a play on Suge Knight. Like, man, like pretty interesting, I guess, swings from like a creative standpoint or like a humor standpoint even. It's not fart punky. It's just like, okay, interesting. But anyway, I think this might have been allusions to, Wikipedia seems to think it was them appearing on a Timberland record. There's also stuff about Jay-Z appearing on track 1 of Thriller of Infinity. There's stuff about them meeting Kanye West and him also being a Chicago area artist and him coming out with a kind of a haphazard, not haphazard, but just like not a good, but a remix of this song before the record even dropped. Anyway, an allusion to people caring about them working with a hip hop producer, I guess at one point, appearing with Timbaland. Timbaland must have been huge because Weezer even references Timbaland on like one of the Red Album songs. Knows the way to reach the top of the charts. Must have been a good decade for Timbaland. Anyway, so essentially they end up in this rap problematic basement scene where all these, I guess you would say, but there's all these gentlemen who are recording them, and Pat is nerding it up pretty hard, like almost worse than the nerd Pat in the Dance Dance video. But he's like, I don't know if there was commentary about how he moved his lips or hands as he sang, but if there was, maybe that's what he's doing. But he's definitely like singing the first verse, and people are making fun of him kind of actively. Like the band doesn't seem super into it, but they're in the studio again, and people are talking about like why they're working with these people, and Pat is up there singing his heart out, being soulful as shit, but playing a character, I guess. Any thoughts on this first scene here?
Yeah, I mean, it was obvious. It was like people think they're not enough of this. I mean, the whole song was written about,
which is how we spent the first 20 minutes of this pod. So I guess like. Maybe they're still fighting it or whatever, but
well, you know, they wrote about like being disenfranchised or frustrated with the emo scene and how it's like weirdly competitive to be the most unique or different. And I think it's just like Pete Wentz is genuinely unique, and maybe it just like got caught up in this thing where people try so hard to be different that they thought he must have been trying so hard to be that different, but it was just really authenticity mistaken for one-upsmanship or something.
Yeah, like, well, what would you do if your like moody high school poetry made you insanely famous? Like, that would have somewhat of an impact on how your life went for the next 5 to 10 years or forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So today we talked about getting out but never forgetting about. It's like that shit was heard by millions. And you know, scribbled on napkins, as the Singing Back Sunday singer might say, like, But anyway, no, yeah, if you got famous for that. Anyway, so they're there, but the chorus comes and they start to win the crowd over. The crowd's not feeling it. They're like, oh, Patrick, stop singing. But then they come to the chorus and Joe steps to the center of the room and starts spinning fast as shit because it's just kind of what he does. And he does it so well. Some of the spins in the Grand Theft Auto video are a little not as tight. He got so much better at it through the years. It's kind of interesting to watch that. It's kind of like watching Justin Timberlake get truly hot through the course of the NSYNC videos. Like you watching Joe's spins get tight as shit are honestly kind of like, wow, the band's, they're like learning how to be famous better almost. But anyway, he, with the head of his guitar, they're like just winning over the crowd. Like, I'm a leading man. I feel we lost so good. Actually, I don't buy that Pete did the woo-woo-woos, but maybe he did. I don't know. Anyway, Joe knocks, I guess, a 40 in a brown bag. Again, somewhat of a problem, or whatever. That's just the scene they're painting in the video. And it falls to the floor and shatters. And whatever goodwill they had won over through singing the chorus of this song, the new magazine title is Fall Out Boy Gets Kicked Out the Hood, I guess, on this particular Fame magazine. Thankfully, we don't have to talk about this anymore because they don't really revisit that theme in the video.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know, just tabloids being tabloids, I guess. And well, talking about the chorus, we avoid brand new, but some of the things we have talked about is the narcissistic energy that Jesse Lacey gives off.
It's a timeless bravado versus, like the confidence that puts you in the position to succeed could be perceived negatively. It's a very fine line. Or what's the line in Almost Famous where Philip Seymour Hoffman's character is like, Jim Morrison's a drunken buffoon, but the lead singer of The Guess Who has the courage to be a drunken buffoon. There's like such a fine, weird, dumb hipster music critic line to walk there. But yeah, in this chorus, she's kind of like, I'm a leading man with a life so evil and oh so intricate. Just like, words like weapons, things like that. Definitely some Pete poetry going on there. And, but they're playing as fast as shit. And I think everything about this song works for me, even the video. And it's a fun ride towards the end. But at this point, they're in a hotel. They don't look well. Pete's playing like a Louis Vuitton bass. And it's kind of like the Simple Plan Just Balls album cover with like models in the hotel room. Things aren't, like, if their mothers saw them in that state, they'd be like, you need some sleep, you need some water, you need a good meal, everything. Like they don't seem to be doing great. But they don't seem to be sober. They're having they're doing, it's not even a shoot. They're just playing. It's the party scene, everything like that. Anything from this particular scene that you took away, or they're just trying to show us the party lifestyle? I guess there's like a photo shoot thing with Pete that I didn't even know about this scandal.
Yeah, I didn't. Maybe there's something buried in my brain that remembers it, but I've always wanted to just like, it'd be so disrespectful to the people that work there, but always just wanted to trash a hotel room. They're just jumping from bed to bed. Can
never be a rock star just because, like, considering the service industry workers all the time, it's just like, I don't know. Like,
the worst I ever did was on the DC trip in my sophomore year of high school. I stayed in a room with Ryan, who ended up being my college roommate, and we got like, chocolate covered donuts from breakfast, and we had these like vaulted ceilings that had skylights in them, and he threw a donut so hard at the skylight that it stuck up there, and we just like ran out of the room with a donut stuck to the ceiling. But that's as naughty as I've been in a hotel room, I guess. But I don't, you know what? I don't want to trash a hotel room. I don't want to be around that many people. Like, COVID aside, I just want to like play Breath of the Wild alone.
Put it on a t-shirt, man. Put it on a t-shirt. I don't want to. Yes, indeed.
COVID aside, get the away from me, dude.
Tom's never been more comfortable than he has been in the pandemic, I feel like, to a certain degree. Like, oh, what's that? Stay home? All right, cool. Dr. Fauch,
you got it,
tell
bud.
it like it is. You got it, bro. Fauch, my boy. What's good? Still on? I got you.
So Pete's at this photo shoot, and the photographer is acting his little ass off, by the way. And he's like
using a cell phone as the camera, which I guess is
Well-
an allusion to something that happened that I was unaware of at the time.
right, because I kind of thought so. Yeah, he's telling him to like, oh, unzip your hoodie, and then like he like looks down, like take your pants off, and he takes a photo with, I think it was the cell phone we see at the beginning. I thought it was just native advertising, but yeah, there was some scandal where his nude photos leaked.
He was texting a girlfriend a picture of something of that nature, and that's what they're referencing in the video. But then like there's a shot where these like girls on AIM had downloaded a picture because it had gone online or something like that. I was not very privy to this particular scandal, but they represent in the video, obviously very top of mind for the band because they're kind of taking on, not skeletons in the closet, that's the wrong turn of phrase, but they're basically taking getting everything out there like, hey, this has been our lives just because we wrote a song called Sugar We're Going Down Swinging, basically. Like our lives are this now because of the only bass line Pete's ever been able to be proud of.
Jesus.
I'm so sorry.
Oh God.
This is where you come, where we're really the best at talking shit to famous people. We're speaking truth to power, man. This is coming at you from the underground, here for the hot takes, because we believe we're better than they are. That's what our show has been built on from the start.
Oh God.
JK. Anyway, this singer brought to you by, just kidding. Although that'd be an interesting show where like every joke was sponsored by the worst company. Lockheed Martin just paid me $2 million to make fun of Pete 20 years after he wrote a bass line. Thanks, Lockheed Martin. Anyway.
Yeah, Lockheed Martin can be tight if they're dealing with space stuff, but...
I don't know, dude. It's like, well, I kind of liked Tony Stark until he just started doing all that superhero stuff. I liked him more when he was dealing arms and shit. He was the backbone of the economy, bro.
So there's a new magazine.
Let's just get
cover.
real political during the fucking... Hey, it's an arms race themed episode this week, everybody.
Unsurprisingly, Joe Biden sucks too, right? If we're just gonna go there.
Yeah, a lot of bombs being dropped for someone who owes me $2,000 was the best tweet I've seen in the last month, I think. Anyway, back to Fall Out Boy's rise to fame. So the dick pic drops online, kind of like early internet culture. Still waiting a long time for a single JPEG to download, but doing it from a family home computer. I know Tom's got some family computer stories that he could probably fill an hour or two with.
I wrote, I'm not going to read it, but I do remember photos loading line by line off of LimeWire.
There was this one like AIM, I guess it was like early clickbait where it was like you got pieces of it. It was like putting a puzzle together virtually. But it was through AIM and it was very like stretching the limits of patience of anyone, even of someone who had nothing to do. Like even as someone who's like still playing snood, it's like more snood or whatever, like frame 2 of whatever the this is supposed to be. Anyway, my mom's like, can I please just call my sister? Like my family. I haven't talked to them because ever since you downloaded Snood, it's like, okay, yeah, sure. Sounds good. Anyway, in the hotel room, things are getting a little wet and wild. Pete's D-pic drops and then somebody jumps on the bed. It's getting a little rowdy and he just falls out the window and dies right in time for like the preachy middle part of the song where Patrick Stump stands up and gets real soulful. Just walk me through your thought process on this part of the song and this part of the music video itself, which gets pretty wild. Seth Green shows up. It's a whole thing.
So he falls out of the window and the band is kind of like looking down and he ends up in a coffin. They're at his funeral and it drops down into this kind of like a chorus chanting thing that was actually inspired by, you mentioned him earlier, Justin Timberlake's Senorita, which that whole outro, I don't know what I'm thinking about. Oh man, I love that so much. And you can hear it. It's like the same drum beat. It drops down. Super nice. But all kinds of random people at this funeral. Seth Green crying randomly. The girl from Grand Theft Auto is there dancing on a grave. The deer boy from Sugar We're Going Down is just tongue down his girlfriend's throat.
Yeah,
And
crazy tonsil hockey. What a career for that actor, just showing up as Deer Boy every now and again.
real quickly, I do want to mention that you wrote this article called like, "Where is the groom from Panic at the Disco's music video now?" We get like thousands of visits to that one page like every day. It's insane. We should write a story about who the Deer Boy is to get some more traffic to the website.
Yeah, we were like, hey, let's try SEO once. We will have one article
super worked.
that is optimized for search engine. Then we just stopped. The other episode, because we wrote dozens of articles with titles like the Sugar We're Going Down video is peak deer people in cinema. And it's just like zany, off the wall, screwball, nothingness humor that's not funny, just me amusing myself with like, the thing about deer people in cinema is that it never happened much before the Sugar We're Going Down music video. But once the Sugar We're Going Down music video hit, deer people in cinema shot through the roof because we had a deer person in cinema. And to me, that was the best thing on our website. It's from a traffic perspective, a hard not the case. Anyway, long story short, he's making out at the funeral. We even see William Beckett, who is kind of, if I had to bet, kind of begrudgingly reprising his role as head vampire in the 16 Candles video.
Yeah, ending up not quite what Fueled by hoped for him. Anyways, it was fun on the coffin.
He shone bright, but like, if you're placing bets at the time, it's like before, I guess some of the goofball Las Vegas gamblers who were there to see some of those dirty, nasty, weirdo Panic shows were like, no, Panic's going to be pretty big, actually.
Right,
like, just wait. It's weird, but it's fun as shit. And it's sweaty, weirdly sweaty, but fun sweaty. I don't know. It's hard to, anyway. Yeah, interesting. Pour One Out, but Almost Here. Great album. Maybe we'll do an episode one day. Anyway, he's there. Travis McCoy, talented gentleman, dancing, kind of reprising the dance from the Dance Dance video that I guess in this cinematic universe happened moments ago. So he just kind of shows up at the funeral for Pete after starring in the music video that they just recorded. He's just like, I'm just hanging with the band, guys. Everything's cool. Kind of doing the Carlton throwback thing as well.
Yeah.
Seth Green, a few others, some aren't coming to mind, I guess. But I guess the point is like, hey, if you've been here from the jump, you'll get a lot of these references. And Patrick Stump leading a chorus, thoughts on the spoken word thing here. Sing until your lungs give out. Just like, just like, he even at one point is like, now like kind of like directing and everything. There's a literal chorus just like praising Pete Wentz's death and everything, or, just like, this ain't a scene. It's interesting. It's almost like they're mad at, in Dance Dance, they do a jump over each other's back that is more intense than the Paramore back rollover, but they also have the spinny thing and they have this and that. But they're lamenting the competitive nature of emo through the song and the video itself. So it's almost like they won, but they're mad about it. Like they played the game and won and are pointing out the flaws in it or something like that. Like I said, it's not like a new phenomena. The Springsteen Jungle Land flashing guitars, just like Switchblade, competitive scene stuff. It's been around for a while. People competing to be famous has been around forever or whatever, ever since I guess maybe the motion pictures were invented. I don't fucking know. But I guess the point here being like, hey, we made it to the top and now anyone ever talks about is Pete's dick. So congrats to no one. It's kind of like they're not pleased with it either. So like, I guess on a little bit of a real note, any hesitance we have to enjoy Infinity on High, which again, we for the most part do, or at least I do, they get it. This is like a love letter to fans saying like, we're right there with you. We hope you like this chorus, which it has international appeal and we have a feeling it's going to be big, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of interesting to do the most self-aware video in your catalog to like the song that you need to be as good as it was. Because if it was bad, like, is it more annoying that it's a pretty good album that came after Cork Tree? You're like, or do you want it to be a flop so you can watch them make a big comeback? I don't know. Like everyone says like America Loves a Comeback Story or The Underdog or things like that. Like, but they just stayed on top for a little bit and then ended up scoring Big Hero 6 or whatever. So it's kind of like, I guess they're just hella mega now. Like they had it, they had it. Like they were not faking it until they made it. They just had it and made it and are questioning it and having trouble with it themselves to a certain degree. There's body image stuff. There's dick pic stuff. There's a scene in the video where they go to like this mansion party and the drummer, Andy, shoves a fake wiener in his pants. Like he's kind of stuffing. That's kind of bizarre.
And it was like Andy makes a splash at the Honey Mansion or something.
Yeah. They're doing like I think mostly Pete was probably the one getting the tabloid attention. But that was kind of by design, as we've referenced a little bit in past episodes,
absolutely.
where Pat was like, I'm just going to sing and do whatever I want to, arrange the music. Pete wrote his poetry and was kind of like, if you listen to his, I forget which podcast it was, but some of the interviews, he's like, it was kind of the arrangement, and he was kind of built for it a little bit. He obviously a handsome young man, but I imagine he had enough by this point, maybe a little bit of a tortured soul, but do you call yourselves hunters? Yeah, kind of playing into it so hard. It's like, careful, to quote our favorite American Idol boy Daughtry, be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it all and then some you don't want. The Pete Wentz story. Yeah, anyway, so they're at the funeral and they're about to honor him by Joe hopping on the coffin and playing a solo on his grave, literally dancing on his grave. And he pops up. He pops awake. After all these references, singing till your lungs give out, this ain't a scene, it's a GD arms race. Thoughts on them, the censorship that surrounded this chorus more often than not?
I've always been so enamored with the way God is beeped out, but damn isn't. And I think I even did it that way in the podcast before we were like not censoring everything.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like last episode we talked about how it's weird as a kid when you're like, that radio station says they're a Star 104, but really it's 103.7. Those assholes, it's kind of like, it's just one of those things that you kind of question from the jump.
Yeah, I don't know. It's always been weird. There's one funny thing about that solo. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, Slash, like they're pretending to be Slash. But apparently, Avenged Sevenfold sued them for like claiming that they were copying a cutscene from their video Seize the Day, where he comes out of like someone's coffin. And Pete Wentz is like, apparently said, I've never even seen that video before, which is just like, I don't know, funny and cutting. It's clearly Slash, but apparently there were some lawsuits about playing guitar on a coffin.
Yeah, it's like the Folklore Playground or whatever suing Taylor Swift, and then they're like, no, we're going to sue you. It's like, whatever, you. I don't know.
But yeah, so the video ends with Pete wakes up in the coffin, and it turns out he's waking up in real life. One of the guys says, "Bad dream,
Andy the drummer.
Dreams again."
Yeah, the dreams again. Yeah,
and you see the band. They're 4 guys sharing like 2 twin beds, and there's a little lower third that says Des Moines, Iowa, 2003, and they're late for a show.
Which geographically, Des Moines, 5 hours west of Chicago. I imagine up and coming bands from Chicago, like, if you listen to Brooks Wheelan and some of the comics who grew up in the Midwest or Iowa, say they would maybe take the trip every once in a while into Chicago to kind of get a taste of the big city. I imagine the inverse was correct for certain bands that were starting regional tours or whatever. Like in Erie, you can go to Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Cleveland, Detroit. There was kind of that like Lake Erie, you could hit some big cities in a short amount of time. Chicago heading west, I imagine you'd maybe like, to get a glimpse of just how powerful you were, you'd try Des Moines if you're coming up in Chicago. I don't know, like any Chicago area or Des Moines area folks want to speak to that. But obviously 2003 early Take This to Your Grave era stuff. I think they're trying to mimic. They wake up in the van and then they rush to a high school show. And it's, I don't know, this is where it gets a little, not mushy, but like they're just spinning and going fast as in the last chorus plays after Pete's little dream sequence ends. It's all a dream. A bad dream, careful what you wish for, because you might get it all and then something you don't want, and then you'll start shoving stuff in your pants and things like that. But they're just a bunch of dudes that you think about those YouTube videos of them playing those warehouse shows back when they were a little more hardcore, coming from the Chicago hardcore scene, things like that. And all they ever were just dudes that could do a certain thing. And the first couple scenes in this music video where they're winning, even a hip hop crowd over with what they do best, which is, try to win over a room through sweat equity, more or less. And that's all it's ever been, I think, is obviously what the video is trying to say, but it also makes me weirdly emotional. It's just like, I don't know, like, what do you do if you win? Like, what if you get it all? And all you ever were, you see Paramore, you're like, oh, what if we jumped? You think about Beatles, Beach Boys stuff, where they're like, oh, these were all just teen kids at one point trying to one-up each other over the radio play. What do you do if all your wildest dreams come true? If your worst high school poetry is heard by millions in a deep, late B cut. Like, oh, we'll toss that in. If anyone's still listening to that point, we'll be lucky. I'm glad anyone will have listened to that many songs. Think about all the bad high school band stuff we were in. We're like, oh, if anyone listens to it, we'll just be great. If anyone listens to this show, we'll be thankful. Things like that. So, what if it happens? What if it happens? And then they really cut back, and that's all they've ever been doing this whole time, maybe with bigger amps to kick jump off of and things like that, and bigger budget music videos to become vampires and do the spins. But it's really just been some dudes from Chicago who tried a thing and it just happened for them. Insane. You think about Jack White just yelping into the void in Detroit with Meg White playing objectively terrible drums, but there was soul and there was crazy. There was something there that you just hit it at a time and it's perfect. Kind of the Outliers thing where it's like, was it just time for someone to take a mix of weird hardcore stuff and a mix of weird Panic at the Disco poetry stuff that wasn't too over the top, using, like, you don't have to include the word testosterone in every verse necessarily or things like that. Like, it's just kind of like it was enough of every little thing to just kind of hit when the time was right. And, the one where the boys become hella mega. It's just like, but it's a reminder that, like, they obviously don't feel any different. I think we reference a lot on the show where we're turning 30, but my brain doesn't feel different. Maybe our bodies are starting to feel a little different, but I don't know. It's kind of not like too emotional necessarily, like, but it's just kind of like, man, it's just an example of, I don't know, seeing just to have a scandal of a cell phone thing, like Pete communicating with his girlfriend, things like that, growing up in the digital age, things like that. I don't know. I'm not saying anything of use or of importance necessarily. I'm just rambling at this point, but I don't know. The scene at the end of this video where they're in the freaking high school gym and everyone's singing the chorus back to him and Pete tries to jump off a half stack. It's just like, so many people have had that moment where they tried to do it and they tried to make it.
Well, here's what I think, like, the whole meaning of this video is. They're super unhappy with, like, the performance of them in the ending out the Dance Dance video. They go through this whole, like, Hollywood life. They're just kind of playing out these caricatures of themselves. All they really wanted to do was go back to 2003 to play that, like, bingo hall show.
Which it had some antlers on the wall. So, like, I wonder if the first Sugar Down thing was just like an homage to the Midwest, like, a portrait of the Midwest, like, imagery they had been exposed to forever, just like people hunting generally a lot.
Right. So, I mean, they're back to their roots. And the thing that I found interesting is, like you said, at the end, Pete drops his bass guitar from the top of, like, the PA speakers, and you get the same sound effect of him dropping the guitar at the beginning of the video when he, like, threw it past his guitar tech.
Oh, I was going to say, you've been focused in on that guitar tech thing. I was like, you blew my mind just now with the payoff there. I'm like, what are you getting to, Tommy? But damn, nice.
So
pickup.
it's like the same sound effect, and he does that big stage dive, and it reminds me of Dewey in School of Rock when he was, like, wasted and he did the stage dive, and it was like kind of a douchey thing that didn't pay off. And it made me feel like by reusing that sound effect and him doing this jump that was like this larger than life thing, does it mean that they're just, because they're so good, they're destined to replay this narrative of, like, explosive growth, tabloids, and then them just wanting to go back to where they came from? Especially because the whole song is about, we came from emo, but we hate what it's become. Now we're an outsider, but we want to come back, but not really. It makes me think that there's this narrative of, like, no matter what they do, they're going to end up being the tabloid bands that people like fucking me 10 years later are like, I don't like that album that much, and it doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe it wasn't as intentional as I think it is, but I feel like there was some intention into that sound effect in the dive.
I hate to be like social media changed everything guy, but I feel like I do that once every 3 episodes or whatever. But it's, I don't know. It's interesting to see Bill Burr in Philly when he was young, winning the crowd over after totally bombing and just shitting on Philly, the city, overall for like 9 minutes. He's like, I'm not leaving the stage. I'm getting paid, so I'm going to sit here and you heart attack Philly's cheesesteak eating motherfuckers, just like, and then he wins the crowd over. But, Kevin Hart might not be a good example, but just like talking about doing, weird coastal New Jersey casino shows and stuff, just like 4 people not wanting to see comedy that night, stuff like that, to like playing Madison Square Garden. You talk about the Black Keys in a van in Athens, Ohio, playing at Ohio University bars to crowds that were probably not kind of bet big money that they would end up at Madison Square Garden just a few short years later and name one of their albums after the van they were sleeping in and stuff. But does it get less fun when it works? I don't know. Is it a human experience thing? Humans are flawed for probably how they took this album or Cork Tree or albums that came later, or, you make Green Day punish Green Day of all bands for making an entire genre more widely known and appreciated by a larger worldly audience.
I fell asleep listening to Basket Case on repeat last night. I woke up at like 3 a.m. and it was still playing through my AirPods. I love them so much.
They had to go undercover on Fallon to like be cool still. It's just like, it's weird, man. And then all these like tongue-in-cheek AV Club articles about like a band that definitely wasn't Green Day was on, Fallon last night with masks over their head. It's like, who gives a if it was? Green Day's the best. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe pump the brakes on shit. I don't know. Like, this is the part where I hate doing episodes about bands we like that are like overreaching or like having to talk about Blink or things like that. Cause it's just like, what do you say other than, pardon? Oh my God, I can't believe I'm about to do this, but thanks for the memories, dudes. Thanks for the memories for sure. I don't know. Yeah. It's like the fact that Hum Hallelujah can still kind of me up a little bit on a Tuesday afternoon while I'm like zipping home to on my lunch break to let my dog out and use the restroom before I go back to work or whatever. It's just like, why did it have to be Hum Hallelujah on shuffle? Siri woke up and chose violence or whatever. It's just like, it still works. It still happens. And then I hope there are, some of these artists, you're just like, they feel close. It's kind of a weird fame thing, but from a fan perspective, it's like, I don't know why, but I hope they're okay. I hope they're living life and feeling good because, you hope they don't live with that stuff every day. Hopefully it's just a fun music video and they aren't legitimately tortured by any of this stuff. I think Pete was on Armchair Expert or some shit like that, but I'm sure he's made the rounds. But, you just want everyone to be happy all the time. I guess that's never going to be the case with the human experience and everything like that. But it all feels, it's interesting to grow up and try to look back. But how exciting to have been there when some of these bands were, Fall Out Boy did play the Hangout more for my sister's era when she was in high school. We were really young for that. But Motion City Soundtrack was at the Hangout. Gym Class Heroes were at the Hangout. Some of these people had to walk into VFW halls and win the room over with shitty amps. And it's cool. This is me really long-winded way of saying I really enjoyed them waking up in the van at the end of this video that was a little so over the top on purpose, obviously, but going into the bingo hall and having to win over the room, even though the sound was bouncing off the walls in such a way that nobody probably knew what the was going on. But it's just like, let's get these teen hearts beating faster by any means necessary. And I don't know. It's fun. I thought it was a fun video. I really liked it. Obviously, Cork Tree and Take This to Your Grave hold bigger portions of our heart than Infinity on High did. But I mean, there's like 6 that came after that. So, it's not like the career ended after Infinity on High or that we have to have our final Fall Out Boy take come from, Big Hero 6 or whatever, or even just after Take This to Your Grave from Under the Cork Tree. So we're not going to solve it in this episode, but an interesting minute to think about Fall Out Boy and them kind of extending this off of Dance Dance to remind us that it didn't really end for them and their lives were just different from that moment forward. So interesting. I'm getting long-winded, Tom, so you should cut me off a little bit and we should probably just end this. But this is our first 2-parter we've ever done, so I'm feeling like, oh my God.
It was a lot of fun,
Yeah. I f***ed up the audio for the first week of this. It's just like, what are we doing? Anyway, it's getting late. We should go talk to our wives and everything like that. But we hope you enjoyed it.
Well, let's give a song of the week.
Thoughts?
Let's keep the new music bumping.
Oh.
I'll give you... I was on Twitter one day and I think one of our listeners just liked a tweet from a band called Arm's Length. So I listened to it. I trust our listeners with my life. And their song No Sleep off of a brand new EP is super good. I'm really enjoying that band. I've been having a hard time putting my finger on what it reminds me of, which is probably a good thing. Like lots of Midwest emo types of bands, but I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, No Sleep by the band Arm's Length from Ohio.
A fine state in our Nation. I'm
Lots of
stalling as I look through Apple Music. Yeah, I'm still trying to sort through this Hold Steady stuff and give me Spices this week, but still digging.
All right. Well, cool beans. Let's head to the post show for our Patreon supporters.
Yeah, talk about how we, like clockwork, feel real dumb every time we do a show we actually care about.
Well, let's get to it. Love you all. Love you, man. Talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye. Sorry, Pete.
Thank you, everyone, so much for listening to this week's episode. It was so fun to do our first 2-part music video Emoverse series. If you liked it, please let us know on Twitter @_reminiscentfm. And please let us know if there are any other video series out there like this, because I think we'd like to continue doing this moving forward. But please hit us up on Twitter @_reminiscentfm. You can check out our Patreon, and you can buy our brand new t-shirts, reminiscentpodcast.com/shop. Again, thank you all so much for being here. We love you all so much, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye, everyone.